This video is going to take you through the solutions of the packet for the final exam review for the seniors. So we start off with number 1, which says, we're going to use a law of sines here. It says, given that angle C, so I'm going to label my triangle A, B, C. Angle C is 126. Angle B is 25 degrees, and side C is 15. And it wants to use law of sines to solve the triangle, which means I need to find angle A, I need to find side B, and I need to find side C. Nope, sorry, side A. So I can find angle A by doing 180 minus 25 minus 126. And I get 29, so that's angle A. And then I want to use the information that they gave me at the beginning to find the other side. So my full ratio is C. I would do 15 over the sine of 126. If I'm looking for side A, it would be A over the sine of angle A, which is 29. And then I'm going to cross multiply. 15 times the sine of 29 equals A times the sine of 126. So 15 sine 29 divided by the sine of 126. And I get A is 8.988. So this is going to bump. Would be 8.99. And then to find side B, I still use the C's. So I use 15 over the sine of 126 equals, it would be B over the sine of angle B, which is 25. And then cross multiply, 15 times the sine of 25 divided by the sine of 126. And I get B is 7.835, so 7.84. For number 2, we're using law of cosines. So you have all 3 side lengths. It says to solve the triangle, I need to find all 3 angles. If you're going to switch between law of sines and cosines, you have to start with the largest one. If you stick to law of cosines the whole time, it doesn't matter. But by habit, I just tend to solve for the largest one first. So the cosine of B equals A squared plus C squared minus B squared over 2AC. So this is 8 squared plus 7 squared minus 14 squared over 2 times 8 times 7. And I'm going to put this all in my calculator in one step, but this is important because I'm going to do cosine negative 1. It's going to open the parentheses. I got to open them again, close them at the end, and then hit the divided by to open them again on the bottom. So second cosine, open parentheses, 8 squared plus 7 squared minus 14 squared, close the parentheses, divided by, open again, 2 times 8 times 7. And I get angle B is 137.82. Then if I want to find A, cosine of A would be B squared, so 14 squared plus C squared, 7 squared, minus A, which is 8 squared over 2 times 14 times 7. And again, I'm going to second cosine that whole thing, putting the parentheses before the 14, after the 8 squared, and then open them again at the beginning after the divided by 2 times 14 times 17. And I get angle A, oh sorry, that should be 7. Not 17. Angle A is 22.56 degrees. And then to find angle C, I can subtract the other 2 from 180. So 180 minus 137.82 minus 22.56. And I get 19.62 degrees. Okay, 3 says, given A is 11, B is 7, and C is 13, use Heron's formula to find the area of the triangle. And then I'm going to give you the Heron's formula, so it's right there. So the first thing I'm going to find is S. This would be 11 plus 7 plus 13 divided by 2, which is 15.5. And then the area is 15.5 times 15.5 minus 11 times 15.5. minus 7 times 15.5 minus 13. And I get 38.499, so this would be 38.50 units squared. Okay, number 4 is the component form of the magnitude and magnitude of a vector with initial point -2, 8, and terminal point 0, 2. So for component form, I would do the x of the terminal point, which is 0, minus the x of the initial point, minus a -2 becomes +2, and then 2 minus 8, so I get 2, -6. Then for the magnitude, I can either use the distance formula for my original points, or I do the square root of 2 squared plus -6 squared. Square root of 4 plus 36, which is square root of 40, and that simplifies. This is 2 and 20, 2 and 10, 2 and 5. So this would be 2 square root 10. Number 5 says, given u and v, determine -2u plus 2v. So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute the -2 to the u, and then add to it 2 times the v. So this would be -8i plus 6j minus 8i minus 2j. And then combine your like terms. Negative and negative is -16i. And then this was a negative. So this is a positive 4j. Number 6 says to find the vector that has the magnitude of 6 is in the same direction as u. So for the same direction, we do the component form over the magnitude. So it'd be the square root of -3 squared plus 2 squared. This would be -3, 2 over 9 plus 4, so square root 13. That gets split and rationalized, so that would be -3 root 13 over 13, and then 2 root 13 over 13. Now, if it said unit vector, that would be my answer, but because it gives me a different magnitude, the last thing I'm going to do is distribute that 6 in on those. So I end up with -18 square root 13 over 13, and then 12 square root 13 over 13. All right, 2 starts with the angle between the two vectors. This equation will be given to you. This is the cosine of theta equals u dot v over the magnitude of u and the magnitude of v. So u cosine, I'm going to cosine -1 the whole thing, but the u dot v is the dot product, so 1 times 2 plus -4 times 1, which is -2. And then the magnitude of u is the square root of 1 plus -4 squared, which is 16, so that's square root 17. And then the magnitude of v is the square root of 2 squared, which is 4, plus 1, which is 1, and that's square root 5. So when I type that in the calculator, I can actually keep the denominator all together. So I would do second cosine -2 divided by square root and put 17 times 5 underneath that square root. And I get theta is 102.528 or 0.53 degrees. Number 8 is solving the system using substitution. So you can actually make the choice if it's elimination or substitution, but if this one is substitution, we're going to follow that. I would take and solve one of the equations for one of the variables. So for example, if I wanted to solve for y in the bottom, I would get in the top, sorry. -y equals -3 minus x, and then multiply everything by -1. So y equals 3 plus x. And then I plug that into the second equation. So x squared minus 3 plus x equals -1. That negative gets distributed to both. I know I'm going to have to factor, so I'm going to move the 1 to the other side, and this would be -2. Factors of -2 that sum to +1 would be -2 and +1. Split and solve, and it's 2 and -1, which means there's 2 x's. And then to find the y's that correspond, I'm just going to plug them in. So when x is 2, y is 5. That's one coordinate point. And when x is -1, y is 2. Number 9 is solving using elimination. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the fractions in the top. I'm going to multiply everything by 12. So this gets eliminated. This would be times 4. 4 would go into 12. These would be gone. Times 3, and then this is times 12. So I get 4x minus 2 plus 3y minus 1 equals 12. 4x minus 8 plus 3y minus 3 equals 12. 4x plus 3y minus 11 equals 12. 4x plus 3y would equal 11. So it's 23. Then combine that with x minus 8y equals 32. So to cancel using elimination, I'm going to multiply the bottom by negative 4. Negative 4x plus 32y would equal 32 times 4 times negative 4. So negative 128. And then 4x plus 3y equals 23. These are going to cancel. I get 35y equals 128 minus, or negative 128 plus 23 would be negative 105. And then divide both sides by 35. And y is negative 3. And then divide that, or plug that back in. So I can plug it back in any of these, but let's say I plug it back into that second one here. I would get x minus 8 times negative 3 equals 32. X plus 24 equals 32. Subtract the 24, and x equals 8. So my coordinate point here is 8, negative 3. For 10, we're dealing with matrices. So this one, we're subtracting the matrices. The first thing you're going to do is multiply 3 in on the first one. So I'd get 6, negative 18, negative 3, negative 27, and negative 6. And then I can distribute in a negative 2 and change this to plus. So it becomes 16, 12, 4, 6, negative 8, 14. And then I add, and I'd get 16 plus 6, so 22, negative 6 plus 12, 6, negative 18 plus 4, negative 14, negative 3 plus 6, 3, negative 27 minus 8, negative 35, and negative 6 plus 14, positive 8. Okay, next comes multiplication. So, and just to note on that last one, in order to be able to add these, you have to have the same dimensions. So because these were both 2 rows and 3 columns, we were able to add. With multiplication, they have to have the same inner number. So this is a 3 by 3, and this is a 3 by 2. The inner numbers match, which means it can be done. The outer 2 is the result. So this is going to be a 3 by 2. And the first one is row 1, column 1. So row 1 is going to get multiplied by column 1. 0 times negative 1 is 0. 5 times 4 is 20. 0 times 7 is 0. So this is 20. Then I go row 1, column 2. 0 times 8 is 0. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. 0 times 7 is 0. Negative 15. Then I go row 2, column 1. 5 times negative 1, negative 5. 0 times 4, 0. 5 times 7, 35. And this is 30. Row 2, column 2. 5 times 8, which is 40. 0 times 3, which is 0. And 5 times negative 7, negative 35. So this is 5. And then row 3, column 1. 2 times negative 1, negative 2. 4 times 4, 16. Negative 2 times 7, negative 14. 14 minus 14, which is 0. And then row 3, column 2. 2 times 8, which is 16. 4 times negative 3, negative 12. And then negative 2 times 17, positive. Or negative 2 times negative 7, positive 14. So this becomes 4 plus 14, which is 18. All right, 12 is the inverse. So for this, the shortcut is 1 over the determinant, which is the Jesus fish, and then we switch the A and the D. So this becomes D and this becomes A, and we negate the B and the C. So fish first, this would be 16 minus 1, which is 15. 1 over 15 times, switch the 4 and the 4, change the signs on the 1 and the 1. And this becomes 4 fifteenths, negative 1 15th, negative 1 15th, and 4 15ths. 13 is find the determinant. So if it's a 3 by 3, we duplicate the first two columns, and then we multiply down each column. So this would be 0 plus 0 minus 16, which is negative 16. Back the other way, this would be positive 2 plus 0, negative 6, and I get negative 4. And then it's negative 16 minus a negative 4, which is negative 12. Write the first 6 terms of the sequence defined by the function. So I'm going to find the first one, 4 times 1 minus 1, and then 4 times 2, 2 minus 1, and then 4 times 3, 3 minus 1, 4 times 4, 4 minus 1, 4 times 5, 5 minus 1, and 4 times 6, 6 minus 1. So this is 4 times 0, which is 0. This is 8 times 1, which is 8. This is 12 times 2, which is 24. 16 times 3, which is 48. 20 times 4, which is 80. 24 times 5, which is 120. So 0, 8, 24, 48, 80, and 120. For 15, we're going to expand this. So I'm going to break this 6 down, the 6 factorial down till it hits the 3 factorial, so those can cancel out. And then this is 20 times 6, which is 120. 16 is finding the sum. So I'm going to start with the 1 and stop at the 5. I'm going to plug in the 1. 2 times 1 minus 2. Plus, plug in 2. Plus, plug in 3. Plus, plug in 4. Plus, plug in 5. So this is 2 minus 2, which is 0. 4 minus 2, which is 2. 6 minus 2, which is 4. 8 minus 2, which is 6. And 10 minus 2, which is 8. 10 plus 10, or 20. 17 says determine whether the sequence is arithmetic. So if it's arithmetic, then when I do 12 minus 7, I get 5. 17 minus 12, I need to get 5. 22 minus 17, I get 5. And 27 minus 22, I also get 5. So it is arithmetic. And D is a positive 5 because it's increasing by 5 for each time. All right, 18, evaluate P74. So there's 2 ways to do it. Obviously, the calculator has that button, but if you don't have that, then it's n factorial over n minus r factorial. So this is 7 factorial over 7 minus 4 factorial, which is 7 factorial over 3 factorial. 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 factorial over 3 factorial. This would be 20, 42, or 840. For C, this would be, again, there's a button on your calculators that do this, but this is n factorial over n minus r factorial times r factorial. So I get 8 factorial over 8 minus 6 factorial times 6 factorial. I get 8 factorial over 2 factorial times 6 factorial, 8 times 7 times 6 factorial. And then 2 times 1. So these cancel. 2 goes into 8 4 times, and you get 28. Which I think is different on your answer key, so that is the correct one. All right, 20 gets into parametric, which is 9, 4. Find the set of parametric equations for the rectangle equation. So there's only one that has the t in it. You're going to solve that one for the other variable. So I'm going to solve for x here. I would get t minus 2 equals negative x. So x would equal negative t plus 2. That's one of the equations that would be part of my answer. And then I'm going to take what what x equals, and I'm going to plug it in place of not the y, but the x. So I'd get negative t plus 2 equals 4y minus 3, and then I need to solve for y. So I'm going to add the 3, and then divide by 4. So y equals negative t plus 5 over 4, or you could say that separated out into negative t over 4 plus 5/4. But both of those equations are your answers. All right, 21 says graph the hyperbola. So first of all, I know the center's at 0, 0 because there's nothing adding or subtracting from the x and the y. I know because the first, or not the 16, but because the first term is x, it's x squared minus y squared, it's horizontal. And then the a squared is 16, so a is 4. And the b squared is 36, so b is 6. So then I'm going to plot my center at 0, 0. I go right and left the 4. I go up and down the 6. And then you're going to make your box. The asymptotes are going to cross through the corners of that box. And then because it's horizontal, the branches open to the right and to the left as wide without touching the asymptotes as possible. 22 says find the vertex and the focus of the parabola. So if it's a parabola, we want to get the squared on the term on the side by itself. So I'm going to leave the y minus 2 squared and I'm going to put the 4x minus 4 to the other side. Because it's a y squared and a positive 4p, I know this is going to face the right. The vertex is the opposite of what follows x, so it's 4, and then the opposite of what follows y, so it's 2. So already I can plot that, and I know it opens to the right. 4p equals 4, because that's what's in front of the parentheses, which means p equals 1, which tells me that the focus is 1 digit to the right, or 1 unit to the right, which would be 5, 2. It didn't ask for it, but if it asked for the directrix, I'd go 1 unit to the left, and that would be an x equals 3. 23 says select the coordinates of the circle center and its radius and then graph the circle. So what follows x is 9, opposite what follows y, opposite is -5. That's your center, and then the radius would be 6. So it's off my graph, but let's say I went by 2, 6, 8, 10, 9, -5, -2, -4, -6 would be here. And then up 6, 2, 4, 6, down 2, 4, 6, right 2, 4, 6, left 2, 4, 6. Not a very good circle, but you get the point. Okay, it would look something like that. 24 is now an ellipse. So the first thing we have to do is divide everything by 36 so that it's equal to 1. And I get x squared over 9 plus y squared over 4 equals 1. So my center is at 0, 0. Because the larger term is under the x, it's horizontal. Larger is your a squared, so a is 3. Smaller is your b squared, so b is 2. So plot 0, 0. I go right and left the 3, up and down the 2, and then I make my oval shape. (25) graph the polar coordinates. So this is, and then we're going to convert to rectangular. But 2 pi over 3 would be over here, and 2, that would be my coordinate point. And then it's 2 cosine 2 pi over 3, and 2 sine 2 pi over 3. The coordinate point at 2 pi over 3 on your unit circle is -1/2 and √3 over 2. So 2 cosine would be -1/2. 2 sine would be √3 over 2. And I get -1 positive √3. Again, I think that one's different on your answer key, but that is the correct answer. And last but not least, this is a circle with a radius of 3. So center at 0, 0, radius of 3, and then literally just connect your points to make it your circle. That's it. Remember, you get to use your calculator the whole time, so make sure you have your calculator with you. The good news is we're not switching back and forth between modes, so your mode will stay in degrees the whole time. I think it's 21 multiple choice, and then the rest are graphing. Good luck studying. I hope you do well.